Hey guys, Bond here from Rebel Off-Road, and I really wanted to save this type of an interview or a walk around towards the end of our trip. We've been on the road now for best part of 2 weeks, and when we say on the road, it's really off the road because, give you guys an idea, we air down once we get to Colorado, and we don't air up till after we get to the border, which will be today. So there's a lot of time that we spend off-road on a trip like this, and what I look at this trip as is, outside of just having a fantastic adventure, is really to test different products and see if some of the things that that we've designed at Rebel need any adjustments and changes, because it's real world stuff. We don't just manufacture the stuff. We don't just build a product and send it out there. We use it, we test it, and we really enjoy the outdoors, and that's really what this is about. So I use it as a testing facility for me personally, and the products that we do. One of the I'll give you guys a little bit of a walk around here, but one of the things I'd like to say is when you're getting ready for a trip like this is, you can't really, weather reports say one thing, but we've had rain every single day, not all day long, but every single day. And it's very important to be prepared for the right things and what might happen and what might not happen. Last time we did this, it was nice and sunny most of the drive. This year, as you can see when we do this walk around, the mud that's on these vehicles, just every single day we're getting mud on these vehicles. So it's you're cleaning it off because it gets so heavy. But it's been an absolute fantastic adventure. But let me do a little bit of a walk around and talk about prepping. The way that I like to prep is I like to be organized, so that because every day we're in a new place. It's only one day that we actually stay for 2 days, and it's about halfway through, and we stay down to the Tetons it's one additional day, 2 nights. But for the rest of the time, you're having to think about this. You get up in the morning, it's cold. You want to be able to get yourself going, but you don't want to get dressed for the day because it's cold. So you're changing 2 to 3 times a day, just depending on the temperatures. When it comes to your being able to pack up camp quickly, that's a key. So I actually use a pop-up tent. Growing up in Africa, we didn't have rooftop tents. We used pop-up tents. So I like the pop-up tent myself. But sometimes we run the rooftops. When it comes to being organized, it's like things like this over here. I'm a big believer in what Jet Oil has done, and their stuff is fantastic, and I think all of us use it. But these are Pelican cases, and they're organized so that I know I've got food in one, I've got all my other cooking gear in another, and it's very easy to get to. You get to camp, you pull out the table. We have these tables that I hate camping tables. So these tables are actually from Lifetime, and we store them on our bed rack system. But being able to set up camp fast, quickly, and efficiently, and know where everything is, so that you're not getting frustrated. On a big trip like this, I mean, you're with people for a long period of time, and you want to make sure that you minimize any frustrations you're going to have, including frustrations you have with yourself on where stuff is packed on the vehicle. So you always pack it in the same spot. For me, the Pelican cases work out fantastically well because of the dividers that I put inside them, and I know where everything is all the time. And it all packs away the same way. It's not packing differently each time we go. Let's do a bit of a walk around on the vehicle. Really what I'm going to focus on is one of the products I wanted to test is our new XCAPs. And basically what it is, it's an enclosure that can go on top of your bed rack. They're aluminum panels. We make them for the full height as well as the half height. And in this case I'm running the full height on this particular Gladiator. And these XCAPs are really fantastic. We make them so that you can run rotopack openings on them. For either sides or for all 4 panels, and everything is modular, and it's going to fit directly on top of your XPLOR Bed Rack. So these things here, they're aluminum, they're super lightweight. There's a cap that goes on the top. The side panels, you can choose which side panels you want to go where. We make a tailgate piece that's going to cover up, and it's going to lock when you close the tailgate. You can't get it open. There's different colored handles and things we run on these things, and this is aluminum as well. We do a moly panel that you'll see on some of the other vehicles that is a steel moly panel. But I mean, everything is made and designed to work together, even from our light mounts or antenna mounts. We've got these lots of caps that go on a vehicle. Don't have any way to mount anything on the outside, so what we designed is some Rotopax mounts that'll go on the insides, the outsides. We also have our mounts that'll actually go and make a little standoff bracket here so that you can run different items on the outside. So if you walk around this side, probably a better view of it. You know, the panels, again, you can buy them in solids, you can buy them with Rotopax cutouts, but in addition to that, like, you know, having our carrier plates, you can now mount the carrier plate on the outside. You can mount multiple ones. This is our new light system that we're offering, and it's fantastic. It's a nice angled light. It gives you a nice broad spectrum of light. It is diffused, and it's not super bright so you're getting blinded by it in your face. On the inside of this XCAP, we are running our panels that go on the inside use these new standoff brackets we just developed as well, right before the trip, and we run these on the inside so that you have lots of different options and ways of mounting things. You know, what you're seeing inside of here is a chainsaw. That's an electric chainsaw, and the reason I run the electric chainsaw is because we change on a trip like this. We change altitude so much. So if I was running a gas powered chainsaw, there's a lot of tuning required. The electric chainsaw, if we come across, you know, branches that need to be cut down, or a tree that's fallen across the road, we can get it out of the way pretty quickly, so we can continue on our trip and not have to backtrack and do a separate path. You know, inside of the full height here, I've also got our tire mount, and this is a 40-inch tire that's mounted up inside of there, and it's incredibly solid. I mean, it's not moving at all. You know, the roads that we've been on for the past, call it 2 weeks that we've been traveling now, you want to have everything so that it's going to be solid. You know, when rattles start to happen, it gets very, it's annoying, and it also means that something's going to go wrong, because the rattle will turn into something worse, and it'll stress, crack, etc. We don't have anything like that going on. Love these tire mounts. They work fantastically well, and it's designed for your XPLOR bed racks as well. Another product that we've got out there is, of course, our Halo roof racks. And what I wanted to do was incorporate a nice way of mounting the Halo roof rack onto the XCAP system if you were doing it. So that's where we're out here, not only testing, but verifying that everything's working well, and it is. I like camping tables that actually work. I can't stand these little roll-up ones because they're flimsy. You usually end up spilling stuff. So we have a table mount that usually mounts on the inside. So part of this trip is a design that I came up with for it to mount on the outside. So it's actually going to sit between your bed rack system, and if you're running a Halo rack, it's going to sit up there. We have it out right now because we've been using it, but yeah, it's going to slide right inside of there, and it's out of sight, out of mind. It locks down with some pins so that you have access to it anytime that you need. And as I said, doing a trip like this, it really reiterates that the designs that we've done. Sometimes they need a little tweak. That particular one, I'm going to give it a little bit of a tweak, but it should be in production within the next, call it 60 days. The rest of the vehicle is the same vehicle that we did. Both my Gladiators that are up here are suspension-wise equipped pretty much the same way as we did the last time we did this trip. We haven't made any changes there. One of the things I do love is our bumpers. We're getting up and down so often, and being able to get a foothold inside of here, you can have a big boot and stick it inside of there, and being able to climb up on it. Use this particular one as a step up. Of course, they're covered in mud because we've had mud every single day, but being able to step up there to get up into the bins that are on the top, or whatever you might be having up there, whether it be a rooftop tent, or in this case we have a nice big awning. It's a 270-degree awning. Being able to climb up is key. So you're not struggling. The other thing that I like to not struggle with is we run the steps. Rock Slide Engineering steps really help you get up tall so that you can get into the bins or get into whatever you might have up on your roof racks. This is the original pair. I've been running it for years, actually since the Gladiators came out. So it was back at SEMA many years ago with those particular steps on, and they're still working great. So love them. Up around the front, there's a few things I'd like to point out. We have both my Gladiators here. One of them is running just the coilover kit, and this one here is running our DSS kit. Both work very well. These things are incredibly heavy right now, so when you look at all the weight, we have extra fuel, we've got extra water, we've got loads of gear. I'm always a big believer of have the right stuff. If you're getting the right stuff, you're going to be happy, and it makes your trip pleasurable. And that's what this is supposed to be, a pleasurable. Anytime you go into the wilderness, you want to have a really good, strong, pleasurable experience. And that's what we have when you get the right stuff. getting back to the suspension wise, when I say right stuff, I've got Curry anti-rocks on this. The rock jocks are on here, and with the rock jock sway bars, in the back we're running their Overland one, which is a much stiffer sway bar. It does a fantastic job of controlling the sway because we've got a lot of weight. The weight, in order to have, I've got a tire mounted up high, I've got bins on the top, etc. And you want to be able to control that. One of the nice things, again, getting back to suspension, is outside of the sway bars is being able to dial in the suspension for what you're trying to do. So in this case, we stiffen up our suspension a little bit because we are going to have a lot more weight, and you're never going to eliminate the body roll, but minimize the amount of body roll that we have going on. Up front on the lights, well, we're on lights everywhere. Lights are important for a whole bunch of different reasons. When we're traveling and we're in dusty situations, I know I said it's been mud every day and it's rained every day, but it hasn't rained all day every day. And this particular type of dirt dries out really fast. So we have chase lights on the back that are amber. Most of us run amber covers on our lights so that we can see each other in the dust. So two key things when you're looking at traveling in dusty situations is amber is awesome. You can see it. We have them on during the day. You can see the other drivers are behind us. If they got amber on the back when you're traveling, you can see where they are. And the other key thing is having a good radio system, some good communications. Good comms are, is fantastic. You know where everybody is. You can time it and see how spread out people are if they do get spread out. And it makes life so much more pleasurable to be able to have good conversations back and forth about what we're seeing. I mean, we've seen beaver, we've seen moose, we've seen elk, we've seen bear, we've seen deer, you name it. We've seen a whole plethora of different animals out there on this travel. So being able to talk and say, hey, look over here for this one, look over here for this one, is because not everyone's going to be at the same spot at the same time. Obviously, you might be a couple of minutes apart. So it's pretty darn cool to be able to see those and communicate back and forth between all the rigs. Bumper wise, this is our Summit Series bumper. I'm running the low hoop on this one, and it's also got our skid on there. This is our steel bumpers that I'm showing you. We are just about to release some aluminum bumpers as well. Obviously the aluminum's a lot more, it's lightweight by comparison. And the first step we're going to do is actually incorporate the skid into it. Big difference with our bumpers is the fact that we actually tie into the actual chassis in a few different locations. There's not just the bumper and a skid bolted on. The actual skid bolts into the chassis as well. So it's incredibly strong if you do come down and have a hard impact. But outside of that, this is our trip. I've got the Rome cases up there. I love those. They got gas struts in them, so they're easy to open and easy to close. And for me, when it comes to packaging things, I don't put my sleeping bag away and put it into a bag every single night. Basically what I do is I just take it and chuck it in one of the bins on the top. I take my sleeping mattress, roll it up and chuck it in the bin on the top. I don't put them in the bags every single night. It's too much work because you're going to be getting it out later on that day. So I like those around bins. I try and keep the stuff that I'm putting on the top as light as possible, but I do like those, and that's the way I like to camp. A couple of things. When I mentioned that I'm not in a rooftop tent, and one of the things that underperformed for me was looking at the weather. We figured that we were going to have great weather, so I did pack some clothes and such so that I could stay nice and warm. I used lined pants, and I got a very good sleeping bag. I actually travel with 2 sleeping bags depending on where we're going, so that way if when our changes in altitude, etc., and changes in weather, I've got 2 sleeping bags that are going to do different things, different temperature bags. But something that underperformed for me was my $39 tent from Amazon. It has a nice rain fly. It looks like it's going to do the job, but didn't really. So occasionally what I had to do is open up my 270 awning and put my tent underneath there to try and keep the rain off of that. So that was a massive underperformer for me. But it's my own fault. I bought a $39 tent off of Amazon, and that's just how it went. Better rain fly and it would have been great. Something that worked incredibly well that I was very surprised with was really our XCAP system. It's not designed to seal in the back of the vehicle, but after 10 days worth of you know, what it was, I think 11 or 12 days we're at it now, worth of travel. Very little dust has actually gone into the back of that the back of the bed with that XCAP on there. It just does a very good job of keeping, and the same thing with water. You know, it's not supposed to be waterproof. It's covers that go on top of your bed rack system, your XPLOR rack, but it's done a fantastic job of keeping water out and keeping dust out. So, you know, I'm absolutely very excited about how well that stuff has worked. We're going to show you some of the other rigs now, so thanks for joining us for Continental Divide by Rebel Off-Road for 2023.